Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to do a full real estate update that I promised to do. Haven't seen you all in 2 weeks. One of the things that I'm also going to be going over, in addition to a typical update to talk about what's going on in the market in this very interesting COVID-19 environment, is I'm also going to talk to you guys about how we see condo demand decreasing in inventory really rising or maintaining the same level as opposed to single families, which is just taken a nosedive because there's more demand there. So I'm going to be going over those things. Also talking to you about some of the reasons that we think we're seeing so many delays and such excessive inventory. You know, it's more than just people hesitating to put their homes in the market because of COVID, or hesitating to put their homes in the market because they're not sure where they're going to go. There are also other reasons. So I have a number of things to go through with you today. This will be my last update for a month, unless something totally crazy happens or totally different happens, which hopefully it won't. I will be back at you on September 21st at 3 p.m. where I'm going to go to monthly updates. Remember, during the height of the pandemic, when things were scary at the beginning, I was doing these every week. Then I switched to every other week in June. Today is going to be my last one this month, and then I'm going to be back to you on September 21st. So let's get the party started. I first want to talk to you about what we're seeing with condominiums versus single families. Now, I will admit, I had said this all to you, that I didn't feel that we would see, I wasn't convinced 3-4 months ago there would be a mass exodus from condos. And honestly, I don't feel there's a mass exodus from condos, but there's some interesting things going on here. People with single families are hoarding them, not listing them as much. There's not as many buyers chomping at the bit to buy condos. Now, don't take that out of context. If you're a buyer, don't hear that and think, ooh, condo market's going to collapse. No, the condo market's not going to collapse. It's nowhere near collapsing. But it's not as much of a mad rush for condos as we're seeing for singles. Plus, the people with the singles are hoarding them and staying in them. Okay, and that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about a little while after. You know, the biggest procrastinators as far as sellers go is always the downsizers. Sellers who live in a home 20, 30, 40 years, raise their children, and then say, you know what, next year I'm going to buy a smaller property. I'm going to go into a condo. I'm going to buy a smaller home. Sometimes it's I'm going to go into assisted living. Those are the ultimate procrastinators. Those people always say next year for 4 or 5 years. So guess what they all did this year? Next year, right? And then next year they might do it again. But that's why. Now let me show you this condo comparison and show you what we're seeing. I'm going to jump to full screen. You can see here that in the last few years, you know, single family and condo inventory goes up and down with the flow of the year. You can tell that singles is a little more dramatic with its flow, right? But look at this. Normally, when you get into March, April, May, singles goes back up here. Didn't happen. But look, condos did. So singles went down in the winter, basically stayed down, and recently have gone down more, whereas condos went up a little bit. Again, you home buyers that are watching, don't think that there's going to be a collapse. But is there a bit less demand with condominiums? There is. So if you're a capitalist or opportunist like me, you hear that and you say, maybe I ought to be interested in that. Warren Buffett always says, when everyone else is scared, be greedy. When everyone else is being greedy, be scared. So if you're someone who's debating between a single family and a condo right now, and you don't really care which one you end up with, I'd go with the condo because there's a little less demand there. Now, if I scroll down, you'll see that we get into more of this. We talk about years past where inventory is flowing, and you can clearly see the decrease with single families, okay? If I go down even more, absorption rate. Check this one out. The absorption rate of single families has been up at 91% compared to normally around this time of year in the 80s. So clearly more demand there. There's no question about it. Absolutely no denying it. And that's what I promised to show you guys for 2 weeks. We put this report out. Our marketing team is going to take that report. It's in a blog on our website, and they are going to put that in the comments for you all to read. Now what I would like to do is walk you through an update and see what's going on out there in the market. And then I'm going to talk to you now, making a note, because I feel like I forgot to mention it, about what I expect for fall, what I expect with Labor Day, what I expect in the weeks after, just to give you guys an idea of what you'll see coming up here shortly. So I'm going to jump to this report. You'll see this is our report on how many homes are listed per week. This is a total amount of homes listed. It is obviously on marealestateupdates.com. That's massrealestateupdates.com. And you can see, notice the trend line here. The orange is 2020. 2,200, 2,300 homes being listed per week. Last year, more like 2,000 being listed. So there's a clear line here of us making up some ground in the last month. Now remember, if we go back, watch my cursor, to the beginning of the year, we were dramatically under where we should be by like 1,000 listings a week, 1,500 listings a week in some cases. So are we going to make up ground by the end of the year by simply listing 200 or 300 more homes a week? We're not. There would have to be a substantial increase. I will tell you this. I expect a good size increase after Labor Day. You all know Labor Day is late this year, but I expect to see an increase after that. And if I was a buyer, I would be waiting. This is our showing time report, not as valuable to us this week. Pay attention right here. Don't pay attention to this line. The system, for the first time since we've been working with them, went down for a whole day last week. So not as good of data there today. Look at this. 10,456 homes for sale right now in Massachusetts, compared to about 18,000 homes for sale last year at this time. My friends, that is a 45%, 40% decrease in the amount of homes for sale. And why? That's because demand is so strong, interest rates are so low, buyers are chomping at the bit to buy, but not as many sellers are listing. Sellers, if you didn't list this year, if you didn't do it for a serious reason, I understand. If you didn't do it otherwise, you might have missed the best time ever, the most demand we've ever seen to buy a home. Now, you look at this, pendings per week. Again, look at this compared to the year before, 2,300, 24, 23, 24. Last year at this time, about 2,000 a week, call it, on average. So we're making up some ground. But again, we're only making up 200, 300 a week compared to losing over 1,000 per week for several weeks back at the beginning. Again, I don't think we'll make up the ground this year. There will be less homes sold in 2020 than at least in the last 5 years. Does that mean prices will fall? No, they won't. It is impossible for prices to fall when you have a lack of supply. Homes sold, that's certainly starting to recover in a big way. We had a big week, I think the week before last. Now it's down. This week will be huge because it's the last week of the month. It will be the biggest week of the year for homes sold. I'm willing to bet you by end of next week, this will be up in this area. Now, if I keep going, percentage of properties going pending in a given week. Look at this. We stayed strong all summer. 22, 21, 23% of homes for sale going under contract compared to 10 to 15% all summer the last 4 or 5 years. This is extraordinary. We're talking about more than double the demand. So if you're a buyer or you're a realtor watching and you're frustrated, well, that's why. You know, if you're a buyer watching and you're mad at your realtor, I have news for you. You probably shouldn't be. Unless they're really asleep at the wheel, you probably shouldn't be. Now look at home prices. Not only they've stayed strong since the beginning of the year, they have increased. Look at July. Average sale price, $499,996. Call it $500,000. I told you all back in April, back in March, when the naysayers, the market's going to crash, it's over, everything's going to crash. I said, no, not possible with a low inventory. That has proved to be true. As the months go on, you will see those numbers stay high. And as you can see, we have the highest average sale price that we have had ever in Massachusetts going on this year. Now I go down and we look at July. It was closed out last time I saw you. Average prices were up 6.5%. Homes listed up 15, pending up 14. We just talked about some of that. There's some making up ground going on here. Now August is not over, but so far in August, we're up 4%. Pendings are up 15%. Homes sold down 17%. I believe by the end of this month, homes sold will be even or slightly higher than last year. Now look at this. June, we were down 26% for homes sold. July, we were down 1%. August, right now, we're down 17%, but a lot's getting pushed to the end of the month. I will tell you, if we fall short on that, a big part of the reason, I'm going to jump back to me for a couple minutes, big part of the reason if we do fall short will be the amount of refinancing going on. This refinancing has been extraordinary, and it's literally just log jammed our system. We wrote a blog on that back in the spring and said that there would be a log jam because of the refinancing, and that has proved to be true. Although I will commend our mortgage broker and attorney friends because they've held up damn well. They have really closed a lot of transactions. So that's some reasoning for those types of things happening. While I'm talking to you, I'm going to jump over here to the New Hampshire screen. But also, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac put a new rule in place that says anyone who refinances after September 1st, if they didn't have a rate lock before, they announced it a week ago, will have to pay a 0.5 percentage point fee. I know the National Association of Realtors, Mortgage Bankers Association, and several other groups are trying to push Fannie and Freddie to get that to be October or November. I hope they do. We'll see. Now I'm going to jump in, show you New Hampshire for a couple minutes, and then we're going to talk about what I expect for fall. Okay? Trying to move through this with you quick. NHRealestateUpdates.com. Look at this. 637 homes listed last week. And you can see we're making up a little ground in New Hampshire, but not a ton. And I almost wonder if we have a mistake in here with the 324. I'm going to have to look into that. Lindsay's watching. Lindsay, we should check that data, please. Home showings, again, showing time went down last week. We're going to skip that. Let's see here. This is homes placed under agreement. Look at that, 700. So higher than last year, making up some ground. Now, keep in mind, New Hampshire came out of this faster than Massachusetts. We're more restrictive of a state. I was up there in the Lakes region a few weeks ago. I thought it was great. We had a lot of fun. Great place. But people are more, I guess some people would say they're less careful, whatever you want to call it. But they've been open more. Then you look at sale prices, same thing. They are holding strong. So both markets are recovering. I do not expect either market to make up for all the ground that was lost back in the spring. It's just, I'd be lying to you if I said we're going to make up ground. We're making up some ground, but are we going to make up all the ground? Not going to happen. It's just too much. So you will see home sales be down for this year. Now, keep in mind, the last few years, there was about 100,000, 105,000, 95,000 homes sold. What percentage will it be down? I bet we're under 90. I bet we're down at least 10%. I don't think we'll end up down 20 or 30, but prices won't be down at all. Prices will be up because of the extraordinarily low inventory. Now, let's talk about reasoning, because this plays into fall. A lot of kids are supposed to be going back to school. I wish all of mine were right on time, but they're not. And a lot of young adults should be going back to college, and many are not. So I want to discuss that with you. Okay. Some of the reasons. Now, remember what I mentioned. Why is inventory so low? Reason number one, people are scared to have strangers coming in their home to see their home because they're concerned about COVID-19, understandably so. But I will say realtors have done an extraordinary job, both here at Lamacchia, which, by the way, in my opinion, have done the best job, but also other realtors have done a great job protecting their listings, by and large, and keeping people safe. But that's a reason inventory has been low. Another reason is people just like, well, where am I going to go? If I sell, where am I going to go? Well, for those of you that are doing that, you're hurting yourself because you could find where to sell. I just had a client call me, a friend, an attorney friend who was looking to buy down the Cape. Well, we want to buy something new, but we're not going to buy till we sell, till we know where we're going to go. We're not going to sell. And I said, well, no, you can't do one without the other. You need to take some steps. We can put protections in place to watch out for you and make sure that you don't end up, with no place to go. We can put things in the contract, etc. They listen to me. They're in their new Cape home. They're very happy. But I say to myself, If I didn't get to that person, how many other people are out there like that person that just say, nope, nope, I'm staying here in my home, and then they get nowhere? You got to put some trust in your realtor and your attorney and find ways to get this done, because you can sell and buy right now without ending up homeless. Now, another couple of reasons. A realtor said this to me last week. Actually, it's a friend of mine, a realtor who just joined us in Hudson. We acquired a great small company in Hudson, Beyond Real Estate, and the owner, Kristen, who was the broker owner there, now she's with us, thankfully, said to me, Anthony, there's also a lot of people who were going to downsize this year, and all of a sudden, their damn college kids moved home, and they're like, well, I can't sell now. So that's decreasing inventory as well, because remember how it works. You get first-time buyers that buy regular single families and condos. Then 3-4 years later, they sell and they become what we call move-up buyers. They stay there 20, 30 years. They end up selling 20, 30 years later, and they become move-down buyers. And that's how inventory flows. That's how you get the larger homes coming back on the market. Well, if everybody has their kids coming home from college and they're not selling because of it, that explains why inventory, one of the major contributors to why inventory is so low. So what do I expect for fall? Great question. I'll be honest, I have been thinking about this for weeks on end. Here is my off-the-cuff, non-data-driven opinion. We are experiencing a very busy August, the busiest August I've ever seen. And I will proudly say I predicted that it would be the busiest summer ever, and it has been. Activity has remained extremely strong. By this point in August, it usually slows down. I wouldn't be surprised if next week we see it. Well, next week will definitely be slower because people won't want to list. A lot of people won't want to list before Labor Day. So it'll slow down a little bit, but we're not seeing, usually August 15th, August 20th, it's noticeably slower. We haven't seen that. Why? Because there's so much pent-up demand. Even if 20% of home buyers out there say, the hell with it, I'm going to sign a lease and stay another year, there's still so many buyers out there we can't tell. So we'll see a little bit of slowdown next week. Then the weeks after Labor Day, we will see it get considerably busier. There will be a lot of homes getting listed. When that happens, mark my words, at first there'll be some really happy buyers, but then there'll be some buyers, every fall this happens, they go, why isn't everything selling in 2 minutes? The market must be crashing. No, the market's not crashing. But there are always less buyers in the fall and more. I got to be careful how I say that. Okay. There will be less buyers in the fall than there were in the summer. There will be more sellers in the fall than there were in the summer. That doesn't mean the inventory balance switches. So we have been tons of buyers, this many sellers. Okay, by fall, by October, it'll probably do this. There will still be more buyers, but there'll be less of each. Does that make sense? Or more of one? Okay, you guys follow me. So we're going to see some of that. And that's what will make the market a little easier. I will tell you this, I say it every year, and sometimes our realtors want to shut me up because of it, but I like to tell it like it is for our clients, okay? The number one time of year to buy a home is in the fall. The best time of year to sell a home, late winter, spring. This spring got screwed up, it got pushed forward, so this summer ended up being very strong. Normally, that's how the market flows. So we are 2 weeks away from the best time of 2020 to buy a home. Literally 2 weeks away from it. By the time we get to after Labor Day, it will be the best time that it's been the entire year to buy a home because there will be more inventory. Inventory will peak in late September, early October, like it always does. Let me just make sure I feel that way. When I say peak, I'm talking about peaking for the year. I think it will happen. Let me just check something. Yes, it will. It will peak at that time. So let me show you what I'm looking at here. Notice right here, we basically have to get over 12,000 for it to be the highest point of the year and stick with every other year. I'd say the only way that wouldn't happen is if COVID comes back like mad, right? And people pull their necks in. If that doesn't happen, inventory will peak. If you are a home buyer, take advantage of this. Don't get crazy. In 3 weeks when you're all looking at homes and they're like, oh, there's only 2 offers. Don't be like, only 2? Well, I mean, why not? The market must be crashing. No, it's not crashing. It's fall. There's a lot of people that are re-signing leases right now and saying, I'll wait till next year to buy. You need to take advantage of that. There's also a lot of people that have found homes. So this craziness that we've experienced in the last 6 months, it's going to be dramatically easier starting in 2 weeks. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be like, wow, I can just choose what house I want. No, this isn't going to be like going to the store. Just, oh, you know what? I'll take that one because it has a nicer chimney. Or, you know what? I want that one. That's not going to happen. But it's going to get easier than it's been. The edge is going to be taken off. And if you're a home buyer, you should be taking advantage of that. If you're a seller who also wants to buy, you should be taking advantage of that. I'll tell you one thing we're seeing. We usually have people go into mass hysteria, paranoia about getting into the school system by September 1st. We're seeing less of that because there's a lot of families that are like, who cares? What does it matter? Doesn't matter to me. My kids are doing school online. I actually agree with you. Okay? This online schooling is not that effective. Can you tell I'm a father of 4? Anyway, that's the stories, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that update. We're going to break this apart, put some different videos out. I will be back at you on September 21st at 3 p.m. with a complete update. If I see you sooner, it's because something haywire must have happened. Thank you all very much. Happy